I know, I
And
know.
and
It's
if I
not.
if I
You
would have
just need
picked
to
up that,
upholster it, but who's got the time or
no,
the
no, you don't need
money?
to. I mean, you,
I mean,
again,
I would want
there's
to upholster it
right.
if I
There's
put
all
it in
kinds
my
of levels.
apartment.
Many people couldn't have it. I understand that now that the water's hit it, the varnish is going to lift up a little bit and it won't look so great. But it's still
It's
it's a nice
wood.
chip.
It's a wooden frame,
It's
which
wood.
is
It's
really
made
nice.
well.
I
The
agree
five
with you.
rollers, which are the part that can be replaced,
Yeah.
but they're actually in pretty good shape. So
Yeah.
the point is, you can sit on that and use it today. And here's the idea: everything we continue to use until it's had its day and it's over
Yeah.
keeps us from having to break into another tree and another thing and build another one.
Exactly.
So this is why using things, refurbishing things, was always an American ideal, but it's not just American, but it's something that people try to do who are trying to preserve the environment they live in.
Yeah.
So if I were to take that thing to over by Best Buy there and Orchards, Outdoor World, is that what it's called?
I know which one you're talking about.
The
It's over there on
big-
the other side of the freeway.
Yeah, that's
By
why
the
people
mall.
come in regularly with pickup trucks and stuff. By the end of the day, someone will go, oh yeah, I'll take that and put it on my back porch. I don't care. I'll sit on that for the next couple of years. Till it
Well,
falls
it's a
apart."
nice. I thought it was a nice chair too, and I was tempted to take it in, but then I thought, but I'm gonna want to upholster it,
Right. Well,
and because it'll be
yeah.
inside, and I thought because the wood looks great, it's a nice frame and it's a nice chair, and I need one, but
Well, before
I would have to
recommend you
spend
do
money
I know. Before
upholstering
I
it.
recommend you do anything like that, I want to look at every other part of it and see
I'm
if
not
it's
gonna
worth
do
it.
that.
Because once you pull it apart, however, once it dries out, it's now been washed in the rain. That's good for
Oh,
a
that's
thing,
not. That's a
actually.
good point.
You let it dry out inside, then you throw a nice thing over it.
Yeah, I don't want to throw anything.
Blanket or something, so that what you're touching
It's not my
is
style,
because
dude.
that's all see, all of that, all the soft part is synthetic.
I know.
And that's okay, but you can put a really nice velour.
Well, I would upholster it velvet or something like that. You know,
Well,
be
that makes
beautiful.
it really fancy. And I know you have very nice shoes and stuff.
You know how much
like-
these shoes cost, man?
Well, it's not
Make
what
a
they
guess.
cost.
Make a
I'm
guess.
saying they're nice. That's what I was admiring.
They're awesome. Thank
They're
you.
probably cheap, but everything's underpriced now because we're getting it from China and other slave markets, and because we're overproducing. When they talk about economy, people have to understand the downside of economy is it means everybody keeps selling stuff to everybody else all day long, even though we don't need any more stuff.
There's so much selling
We need
going
good
on.
quality stuff that we take care of. And we don't need all the other crap.
Well, you know, I don't try to have too many shoes. I try to have just the right amount of shoes
Well,
that
a
I
few sets of
need.
shoes.
You know, I have my rain shoes, I have my walking shoes, I have staying at home shoes.
Yep.
And then I saw these. And I thought, well, those are kind of dressy shoes. Those are really
They
nice.
got this cushion on the bottom.
So I'm gonna get them. They were really cheap. I'm thinking of getting another pair. So when these wear out, I'll have another pair because
It's hard not to because
you can't help
we have a squirrel
it.
gene, and the squirrel gene is the one that for hundreds of generations previous to us there wasn't enough.
Yeah.
There weren't enough shoes. You had to make a pair of shoes.
Oh,
You
for
had to-
sure,
you had to
man.
fork over a
People
serious
would walk
amount.
around barefooted, not to ruin their good shoes.
And not only that, they were wrapping.
My mom
clothes-
talks
they were
about that.
wrapping- as soon as there was cloth, they were wrapping cloth around their feet.
Yes.
Most of the time, if they didn't have any shoes, and to get a good pair of shoes, that was a big deal.
It was a big deal. My mom talks about when she was growing up in Guatemala back in the 20s, you know, in the 30s,
Right.
especially. She talks about how like they had two pairs of shoes. One pair was around everyday use,
Yeah.
and then one pair was like the Sunday dress up use. And even for Christmas, they would get little presents that would fit in their shoes. They would put their parents would
had
put
another
Christmas
purpose.
presents that the baby Jesus brought for them,
Sure.
not Santa Claus, and they would put them in their shoes. So when they woke up in the morning, they would find these little gifts in their shoes.
And other places it's a stocking, but the idea that you'd use that item that is an everyday kind of item
Yeah.
for another little purpose, a special celebratory.
Well, I just think it really shows how minimal the purchasing power was back then.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't available too. It wasn't like where they lived. It wasn't that there was a mall down the road.
See now
It wasn't. It just didn't exist, man. You know.
There was no mall.
It was not there.
No mall. No, there were a few little things, and they were handmade probably. And the idea is that in order to get them to that person, the one thing they had that was theirs was really important to them,
Yeah.
and it wasn't too dirty to use for this. You could always brush it out a little bit. Was
Yeah.
your shoes.
Yeah.
And so because that was your thing.
It
You
was-
didn't have many things as a kid coming
No.
up. You didn't have a whole room full of stuff.
When I was
You
a kid,
had
we didn't
few
have a
things.
lot either. You know, we were very the
in hindsight,
60s.
most people have had a chance at both. Look back on the time.
Well,
in
our
which they had
generation
less.
has, you know, but
Yeah.
but these young kids now, they're just so used to just having all of this stuff all the time.
It's so sad.
Because
I
parents
wouldn't
buy
know
them
where to start.
everything.
You got to go hang out with young kids a bit now and find out that they really are amazing.
They
Turns
are
out that
amazing.
It's the DNA we've got. When we have, I mean, there have been kids that have had to learn how to defend themselves. There have been kids that have had to withstand plagues where a lot of the people around them died. Kids can get through it.
Oh yeah,
At
they're
that
very
stage,
resilient.
they're very resilient and then we get
And
more.
they're smart. They have the ability. You know, oftentimes parents think that they don't have the ability to survive. And that's why they're always like what they call helicopter parents,
Right,
always watching everything they
And the
do,
kids will push that
controlling
away.
everything. Our parents didn't control us like that, you know. They made sure that we behaved ourselves. They taught us, don't do that, you don't do this. They talked to us.
Yeah.
But it's then they had their own lives to live. They were busy doing their own thing, and so we were out, in the neighborhood getting into mischief.
And those little expectations that were repeated over and over. You're supposed
man.
to take care of yourself. You're not supposed to go where it's dangerous. You're not supposed to do dangerous, bad things. You're not supposed to be mean to animals.
But kids do stuff sometimes. That's,
We all did. But
they put themselves in danger. Sometimes they are in danger, but generally, you kind of instinctively know. Nah, I don't know if I want to do. I don't know if I want to go with you. Thank you very much.
A moral code is very interesting. My dad wasn't real strident about it was very much about providing his family with the best opportunities to have a great time and do stuff. So he would take us on fishing trips and stuff.
That's cool.
He'd load up kids from other parents and get a couple of other parents to come, and we get the tent and the boys. It was all boys trip, but at one point, we boys, I wasn't an instigator because it wouldn't have made sense to me to hurt the worms we were going to use for fishing the next day.
Oh yeah.
But I remember very
Oh,
clearly
yeah.
one night around a fire.
Tortured them.
Yeah, well, they were hanging the worm over the fire and torturing it.
Terrible.
And my dad came over and said, we don't do that. That's not a good thing to do. Even though this is where it's really a subtle thing. The next day we were going to hook it, put it in the water, and trade its life for the life of the fish. And we would kill the fish and eat the fish. We didn't go into all that. We didn't go into all that. It was just that you don't excessively torture things.
No, you don't torture animals.
So if there's not lines drawn somewhere, the kids are left to experiment with lines beyond. What happens is it's the dominant kid that's going to lead the other ones. That's what you got to worry about. So and they knew that. They knew that. Okay, and my dad knew that when he stepped into that little situation. He was talking to all of us, which is how you break that down.
Yeah.
You talk to each person as if they're equals, and this was this whole thing about created equal means you have a voice, and you don't have to use it, but at some point you might want to use it, and that's part of the equality. It wasn't that you were going to end up with your equal share.
I have to tell you, you should do workshops with us here, where you can talk about. Let's say today I want to do a talk about equality, and then you can come and do a 1-hour talk on equality and your take on it, how you learned about it as a kid. You're just like how you're doing right now. You have so much to say.
I know. I appreciate that, and I have been dodging my destiny
do it.
in a way.
Do it. You can do it. Forget about your hoarding. Don't worry about that.
Okay. Hopefully, I'm getting through it. And what's happening is
listen, I gotta go. I have to. The things are being taken.
Yeah, by the
Well, that's good. Give them away. Put them on the free table.
There's an empty, large room full of stuff that once you get behind in storage, you never get back in. There's nothing I can get out of it anymore. It's gone.
Oh, well.
So it's okay. Maybe
put it on the free table. I'll see you, sweetie. Take good care. Thank you very much. Lukey. Yes. And what's your name? Jim. That's right, Jim. Okay, Jim.
Now, are you recording? I have to ask.
I was talking to my brother.
Oh, I see.
My brother lives in Guatemala, and he's a musician.
Is he?
Yeah, he plays in the bars. He's a good musician.
The 10-string one, a double string?
No, he just plays a regular guitar, and he's got a beautiful voice.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And he's been doing it for years. That's all he's done.
Because that's very
Yeah, he's a great musician, and influenced by all these people that you were talking about.
great. Yeah, that's
All right,
wonderful.
Jim.
Take care, Ruby.
Take care, bub.